we extend a very warm welcome to you all for the unveiling of the bust of Sir Peter Ustinov and the portrait of the former and much loved principal Penny Wilson by our new Chancellor, Sir Thomas Allen. This is a very special event for the college, and it marks the start of our 10th anniversary and our 10th anniversary events. And we will be inviting you all to a number of signature events led by our postgraduate researchers to celebrate our anniversary year. We're also joined this evening by Dr. Mike Rowell, who's former principal of the Graduate Society. And of course, in 2003, the Graduate Society became Ustinov College, and we moved into this lovely building. We're also joined this evening by the artist Barry Ormsby. Barry, where are you? Where is he?
We're not.
We are. I've greeted him. And it's important for you to know about Barry, because Barry is from the Bear Park Artists Collective. He also painted the portrait of Penny, which Sir Thomas is going to unveil. And I'm personally very fond of the Bear Park Artists Collective work. They're wonderful work. They're miners' banners, their individual work as well. They're a really incredible work and very deeply embedded part of the history of this region. The bust of Sir Peter we'd like to share with you is by the sculptor Toddy Hoare, and it was recently moved from Old Shire Hall to Ustinov College. And I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to facilitate this evening with Nick Creswell, our GCR president, the VC, and of course Sir Thomas Allen, in this my first term as principal of Ustinov College. The bust of the former Chancellor was commissioned by Durham University in 1995. And as you know, and you can see from the lovely pamphlets you have to mark this occasion, that Sir Peter was Chancellor of Durham from 1992 to 2004. The artist, the sculptor Toddy Hoare, spent 25 years in full-time rural parish ministry in Yorkshire, following a career in the army. And he said this lovely quote that I would like to share with you. He said, "Art helps people to see life from a different perspective. It encourages them to question and reflect, engaging them in a different way to books and texts." And I think this transformative potential of art is very evident in the university, in the wonderful work that Henry has curated in the Palatine Centre, but also across our university. And it also holds true of the art forms Peter Ustinov was engaged in, and that of our new Chancellor, Sir Thomas. And Sir Thomas, as you all know, is an established star of the great opera houses of the world, has been awarded many honours and admired for the versatility of his repertoire and his acting. In January of this year, Sir Thomas marked his 40th anniversary at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, singing the role of Don Alfonso in Così fan tutte. We're really rich this evening in artists, as I was explaining to Sir Thomas earlier. We have an artist in residence with us tonight, Alan O'Kane, who has gifted his residency. He's a former alumnus of Ustinov College, and he's gifted his residency to us, and he's working with us this year as artist in residence at Ustinov. And I can't see Alan. Where is he? Wave, there he is at the back. So do make yourself known to Alan later on this evening. And on that note, I'm going to pass this microphone over to Nick, who's president of our GCR. In fact, he has his own. So I'm going to give it to the Vice Chancellor. So the order of this evening is Nick is going to say a few words, followed by the Vice Chancellor, who will then pass that microphone back to me, although I don't think I need it now, do I? And I'll say a few words on behalf of Penny before handing over to Sir Thomas to do the unveiling.
So really?
Well, thank you, Maggie. A warm welcome to everybody here on behalf of the Graduate Common Room. It's great to see so many people here from across the university, guests of the university, and particularly our new Chancellor, Sir Thomas. It's great to see you all here. This is a great night to celebrate the beginning of the 10th anniversary of Ustinov College with the unveiling of the bust of Peter Ustinov and of the portrait of Penny Wilson. And I hope we have a great night tonight. And on behalf of the GCR, we've got a couple of presents. So you've got for Sir Thomas.
It's laundry.
Have a look inside.
It's not laundry.
And we've got one for
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the welcome that we always get in Ustinov. I was asked to say a few things about the postgraduate community at Durham, and I think you can partly sum up the postgraduate community by one word, and that's Ustinov. I was a postgraduate student here in 1976 to 1979, before most of the current students were even born. And it was a great time, but it was a very lonely time. I was in Grey College, because I'd been an undergraduate in Grey College, but there were 4 PhD students in the college. And in my department, there were, I think, 5 or 6 PhD students. The university since then has really rapidly increased the proportion of postgraduate students to undergraduate students, and that's still part of our strategy, to have a much higher proportion of postgraduate students, both of course our own students going on to postgraduate, but also students from around the world. And I think particularly the postgraduate community here has been important in the university for leading on the international aspects of the university. I mean, you only have to go into Palatine Centre and look in the restaurant and see the mix of people there now, and it is truly an international university. And that's been led by our postgraduate community and is going everywhere. And that's been led, first of all, by GradSoc, of course, but then when it became Ustinov College, to really build a strong postgraduate community that's now recognised right across the university, the student unions, engagement, etc. And Penny has to take a lot of credit for building the community here at Ustinov, and it's wonderful to have you back, Penny. And now Maggie taking over and building on what's been the first 10 years of Ustinov, and there are going to be many hundreds to come. And of course, what Ustinov has...
me, though.
Oh, you're pretty young! And what Ustinov has done in terms of bringing together a postgraduate community, an international community, recognising the importance of postgraduates and the difference between postgraduate education and undergraduate education, is now spreading not from Ustinov into all the other colleges to build postgraduate communities in the other colleges as well. And so we owe a lot of grateful thanks to first Graduate Society, but then particularly Ustinov College, for what it has done for the postgraduate community and the international flavour of this university. It's also, I think, Ustinov doing some remarkable things. I was here 2 nights ago for the Café Scientifique, which was attended by a large number of students, and I did one a few years ago as well. Large number of students, staff, and having debates into the night. Really on really serious academic topics, but also potentially controversial topics as well. In that case, it was animals in science. And that is something that postgraduate colleges and postgraduate communities can really deliver. And it really is very impressive what this college is doing. So I would like to congratulate you. I think we've all welcomed Maggie, but you've got a difficult act to follow, but we know you're going to follow it. And I've got 2 good pieces of news for you about Maggie. One is, I just got a letter from the Leverhulme Trust this morning saying she got money for an artist in residence from the Leverhulme Trust. And the other, and I have to read it out because I think she's too modest to say so, but last week she was given a Beacon of Human Dignity Award by the Global Network at Columbia University. So congratulations.
Thank you, that was a really lovely surprise to have that public recognition, which was very, very lovely. Thank you. Well, in recognition of Dr. Wilson, what can I say about Penny? First of all, I'd like to say that Penny is the reason, in part, that I'm here, because obviously the interview panel, agreed that I could do the job. But when I came to visit the college, Penny showed me around, and talking to her and just being here, and I think you can all feel, this is just a wonderful, wonderful space, wonderful community, wonderful college. And so Penny is the reason, in part, why I applied for this post in the first place. And so it's just delightful to have the opportunity to have this time with Penny and for me to sort of take up the Ustinov baton from her, returned from Cambridge. Penny came to to Durham and to Ustinov College in September 2005 as principal from Newhall, Cambridge. She came as reader in English as well as principal of this college. And now Penny is Emeritus Fellow at Murray Edwards, formerly Newhall College at Cambridge, and was telling me earlier that is doing so much research, but not ref-driven. So she has the luxury of doing her research in a very sort of relaxed fashion, and no doubt will be very important to Cambridge and Cambridge's ref, which is never too far from our thoughts currently as we approach the ref deadline. As documented in your pamphlet, harnessing people's energies is a phrase associated with Penny's style of leadership. She is patron of the Ustinov Seminar Series. She worked with the Institute for Advanced Studies. She supported the development of the cafe culture here at Ustinov, the Café Scientifique, the Café Politique, and also the Café des Arts. And so this is, as I said, a perfect opportunity for me to take up the baton or the torch from Penny and to take us forward and to build on the research and scholarly and convivial community that Penny built here at Ustinov. With the senior common room, the graduate common room, the other colleges, some of whom the colleges' heads are present here, as well as the departments, because together we are more than the sum of our parts. And collaboration is a key word for us at Ustinov. But also, inspired by the life work of Sir Peter Ustinov, global citizen, goodwill ambassador for UNICEF, and founder of the Institute for Researching and Combating Prejudice, we all will work together to sustain and develop the work, the relationships, and the care that Penny contributed to Ustinov, to her department, English, as well as to the university. And so, without further ado, I'm going to hand over this baton to Sir Thomas for the unveiling.
Can I not use it?
No,
and just speak?
You don't need it.
I try on these occasions. I think you're very brave, if I may say, to make so many allusions to baton carrying and relay races, following our success in the Olympics this year, when I seem to think that they were all dropped. But maybe that's my memory being wrong on this occasion. Nick, thank you so much for this bag of laundry. How I make the decision to wear this as opposed to one from Grey College or something, I've no idea how to deal with that. I've got a tie from the Queen's campus the other day. I don't know. I just don't know how to choose. Maybe I just carry them all with me at all times, or wear them all at once. Thank you so much for that. It's a privilege for me to be here this evening. First time in Ustinov. I'm working 24 hours and 25 hours a day at the moment, learning about the university, trying to. And I'm trying to find significance as to why I should unveil a bust of Peter Ustinov when I remember that he did have a connection with Covent Garden, with which I've been connected for some time, and then of course Dame Margot had quite a connection with Covent Garden before that. So the line continues. I met Peter Ustinov here when he was installed as Chancellor, only very briefly. I can't say that I knew him. When a friend of mine, one of the academics that was with me that day, said that we were just making up part of the herbaceous border for the occasion. That's how he looked at it and referred to it. But the other thing I do remember about Peter Ustinov is with reference to an event at Covent Garden many years ago when he was directing a double bill, and the double bill was Erwartung Webern. Who wrote Erwartung? Anybody tell me who wrote Erwartung? Schoenberg. And so there he was directing Erwartung, which was a one-woman show, alongside L'Heure Espagnole, a French comedy. And of course he was a very amusing raconteur. And 3 weeks into a 4-week rehearsal period, the cast turned to one another and laughed at the many narrations that there were from Peter Ustinov's mouth, but realized they had absolutely nothing of any work done whatsoever and were due in Covent Garden on the stage at any moment to deliver. So there was a slight panic set in, but quite what the outcome of that story was, I've no idea, but that was a glimpse into what Peter Ustinov was like, rather like a modern day, or a latter day, Jonathan Miller. Jonathan Miller is another director with whom a director with whom I've worked, and I will tell you one little story by him, when he was relating a tale concerning Alan Bennett. And Alan Bennett was playing the part of a Yorkshire antiques dealer who was cleaning some old furniture behind a beaded curtain. And the shop bell rang, and Alan Bennett came out of the back of the shop with his rubber gloves on and through the beaded curtain, and a man was standing there, and he said, I'm sorry I'm late, you'll have to excuse me, I was just undressing a tall boy. Stripping a tall boy probably was the expression, sorry. Not very good at jokes. So I think there's no champagne involved in this, is there? It's now...
I spotted Barry, we mustn't put champagne near the portrait.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. Only the Queen does that. What do I do?
Yeah, you just
Well, I now unveil a portrait and a bust. I'm not sure what one gets first. Oh, there we are. That's the bust. It's a relay race. Yes, okay. Are you ready for this? Oh.
I would just like to invite Penny to say a few words, given this beautiful portrait and that she's here with us. But first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to all the college staff who have worked so hard today to make this possible, to make this happen, and to make the college so beautiful. So thank you to everybody.
I just couldn't see Peter Ustinov from where I was standing. Well, I really can't express what this occasion means to me. Actually, it's not when I was last here, but when I was here, working here, I was very much in the fray. And it's an amazing thing to come back after quite a gap with some distance on the place, and to see really what a great institution Ustinov is now, and Durham University is. Durham pulls at me all the time, and it just gets under your skin. Cambridge is very nice. It's got a very good library, it's a good place to be, but Durham is really a very special place. And Ustinov, I always used to find, if I was travelling between Cambridge and Durham, that wherever I'd arrived, the A1 was a terrific transition. Wherever I was ending up was home. And amazingly, Durham still seems like home. Coming up the A1 today was exactly the same. All these familiar places, and then it still feels like home. So it's, I really cannot begin to express what it means to me to have people say the things they've said about what, how Ustinov developed under those, across those years. It was a fantastic job. It was really, some of the best, well, I've had many good years in my life, but these were some of the best years of my life. And I'm immensely proud and pleased to see what's happening to the college now. And it's lovely now to see so many people I know, but also so many people that are new, because that's such an important thing of leaving a place, is actually seeing it change and develop. I don't want to say a lot, because it's, I think I'd be a bit too choked up to say a lot. I wanted to say about the portrait. I said when I was working here, I felt, I was very much in the fray, and it's very different coming back looking at things from a distance. I think the same thing is true of the portrait. Where is Barry? It was very, oh yeah, there you are. The portrait was a project, and it was a very important project. For me, it linked up, was important in itself, and it tied in with one of the richest areas of experience I had in the Northeast, which was linking up with the art of the Northeast. Bear Park Artist Studio, Artist Cooperative, which Maggie has talked about, and also a place, another artists group that I became very involved with was EDAN, the East Durham Artists Network. And I learned then, what still surprises me, that East and West never really meet, that the A1 is a huge divide in terms of artistic culture in Durham. That may not be true, that may not be as true as it was, but it was an interesting feature. But it was a tremendous project, and it means a lot to me that Barry painted that portrait. And it meant that I felt that Ustinov should have the chance, if it wanted, of having portraits of its principals. It's a long-standing, a very kind of old-fashioned college tradition, but it's much, much more than just having pictures of past people. It's actually a way of contributing to the whole of his historical culture and having tracking that through the years. And of course, the fact that it's local culture is also really important to me. So that was about the portrait. I just wanted to say, though, about these two things together. This is perhaps my best time to tell my Ustinov story, which is not as noble as Thomas Allen's Ustinov story. Until when I was an undergraduate at Edinburgh University, first year, we had a rectorial election. They happened every so often. And I was, I think my only brush with the law in my life to date has been being apprehended by a policeman trying to break into the old quadrangle on Edinburgh University, trying to tear down James Robertson Justice stickers and replace them with stickers promoting Peter Ustinov. We didn't win, in fact, but I think when you look at the two together, it's quite nice to think of that image, breaking into the old quad in Edinburgh, trying to get him in as rector. And just one other thing I wanted to say, kind of addressed to Maggie. I'm an inveterate Googler, and sitting at the computer writing, doing research and writing, and every so often typing something interesting into Google. And I found myself, either last night or this morning, typing in, what does one say at the unveiling of a portrait of oneself? Well, try it on Google. By great good fortune, it happens that there is quite a lot on this because of the unveiling of the portrait of George W. Bush in the White House in May 2012, which caused quite a controversy, in fact, in the States, because Obama referred to the recession, which was thought to be very graceless. It was described in many places as not an occasion for partisan sniping. And I think that is almost certainly true. But the description of the portrait of Bush was what caught my attention, really. He's in the Oval Office, he's got his hand on some desk, he's got, his elbow or somewhere else that all means something. The iconography is explained. But behind him, I think behind his left shoulder, there is a painting, a 1929 painting of a Western. And that painting, I've forgotten the name of the artist, is called A Charge to Keep. And that really kind of shouted out at me, and I thought, that's a very good phrase. A charge to keep, it doesn't have to be Western, it doesn't have to be George W. Bush, but that is very much how I feel about Ustinov now, and Maggie having come to Ustinov, and the way it's growing. It is a charge to keep, and I think it's something that everyone can be really, really proud of. So thank you all for coming. It's just been a wonderful occasion.